In the vastness of our lives, there are moments, sometimes brief, sometimes lingering, when we feel a deep and quiet yearning, a longing that seems to come from the very core of our being. This is not the desire for material wealth or fleeting pleasures, nor is it the type of ambition that seeks external validation or success. Instead, it is a hunger for something more, something profound and eternal. In Buddhism, we recognize that this yearning is not a flaw or an indication of weakness. On the contrary, it is part of the very essence of who we are. It is woven into our nature, an innate calling that compels us to seek meaning, purpose, and truth. The Buddha taught us that suffering is a fundamental part of the human experience. From the moment we are born, we encounter the inevitability of pain, loss, and impermanence. But within this suffering lies the path to enlightenment. The Buddha did not suggest that we must escape suffering, but rather he taught us how to transcend it, how to move through it with wisdom, compassion, and understanding. Our suffering becomes the very soil in which our spiritual growth takes root. It is in embracing our struggles that we find the opportunity to evolve, to awaken to a higher consciousness, and to realize the profound truth that lies within us all. So, as we navigate this life, we may begin to ask ourselves, what is the purpose of it all? Why do we feel this deep sense of longing, this sense of searching for something beyond the mundane? In Buddhism, we are reminded that the purpose of our existence is not something we must find outside of ourselves, but something we must create within. It is not something that exists in a far-off place or in a distant future, but something we are capable of manifesting right here and now in the present moment. What if the very act of being present, truly present, holds the key to our purpose? What if our purpose isn't a destination to be reached or a goal to be achieved, but a process, an unfolding that happens in the here and now? What if, by simply being fully engaged in each breath, each action, each encounter, we are living our purpose? The Buddhist teachings invite us to look inward, to explore the depths of our hearts and minds, and to discover that the true purpose of our lives is not separate from who we are, but is embedded in the very essence of our being. In this way, our purpose is not a single grand revelation that happens at a specific moment in time. It is not something that can be grasped or fully understood by the intellect alone. Instead, it is a continuous unfolding, a journey that deepens with each passing day. Our purpose is woven into the fabric of our lives, in the ways we treat others, in the ways we respond to the world around us, and in the ways we cultivate mindfulness and compassion. It is the quiet, steady commitment to being present in every moment, no matter how ordinary or extraordinary it may seem. Through this presence, we come to understand that purpose is not about achieving external success, but about aligning ourselves with the greater truths of existence. It is about recognizing the interconnectedness of all things and finding peace in the midst of impermanence. In every moment, we are offered the opportunity to cultivate wisdom and compassion. These are the qualities that allow us to transcend suffering, to awaken to the truth of our interconnectedness, and to align ourselves with the natural flow of life. As we reflect on the teachings of the Buddha, we see that our purpose is not a static thing, but something that evolves as we evolve. It is something that is shaped by our actions, by our intentions, and by our ability to remain present in the flow of life. The Buddha's path invites us to practice mindfulness, to cultivate awareness, and to embody compassion. It challenges us to let go of attachment to outcomes and to focus instead on the present moment, knowing that within each moment lies the potential for transformation and awakening. Living in accordance with this understanding, we begin to see that the very essence of our lives is our purpose. Our breath becomes sacred, our actions meaningful, and our compassion a powerful force for change. We are not just existing, we are participating in the unfolding of life itself. In every encounter, in every interaction, in every challenge, we are given the opportunity to step into our true purpose. It is in the ordinary moments, the ones that might seem insignificant, that we can find the deepest meaning and fulfillment. So let us ask ourselves, how can we live more fully, more mindfully, and more in alignment with the teachings of the Buddha? How can we embrace the truth that purpose is not something we must search for, but something we create in each moment. The path is simple, yet profound. It asks us to be present, to be aware, and to live with intention. It calls us to let go of distractions and to turn our attention inward, to recognize the beauty and wisdom that resides within each of us. By embracing this truth, we unlock the potential for transformation and enlightenment in our lives. We find joy not in external accomplishments or material possessions, but in the quiet knowing that we are living in accordance with our true purpose. In each breath, in each step, in each moment, we are participating in the sacred dance of life, unfolding the deepest truths of existence. In the end, the Buddha's teachings remind us that our purpose is not something we can find outside of ourselves. It is not something that is given to us by others or by the world around us. It is something we create through our presence, through our awareness, and through our willingness to live fully and compassionately in each moment. This is the path to true fulfillment, and it is available to each of us, right here and right now. Let us walk this path with courage, with humility, and with the knowledge that our purpose is not a destination to be reached, but a way of being that we embody in every moment of our lives. In Buddhism, one of the most profound and transformative concepts is the principle of impermanence, known as anicca. This truth lies at the very heart of the Buddhist teachings, guiding us to understand the nature of existence itself. It tells us that everything, from the smallest particles to the grandest of cosmic events, is in a constant state of flux. Change is inevitable. Nothing stays the same. This can be an unsettling realization, especially when we consider the things we hold most dear, the relationships we cherish, the possessions we cling to, even our own bodies that we rely on as the foundation of our lives. At first glance, this concept may seem like a threat to our sense of stability and security. We are taught from a young age to hold on to things, to hold on to people, memories, and ideals as a way of finding comfort in a world that often feels uncertain. But the Buddha, in his wisdom, did not teach us to fear change. Instead, he showed us how to embrace it, to use it as a path to liberation. By understanding and accepting the impermanence of all things, we unlock the ability to live more freely, with less attachment and greater peace. When we look at impermanence through the lens of Buddhist philosophy, we see that it is not just a theory or a concept, it is a way of life. The things that we fear losing, the things we cling to for a sense of security, will eventually fade away. Our loved ones, our material possessions, and even the very bodies we inhabit are all subject to the natural law of impermanence. This reality, while initially unsettling, is actually a source of great freedom. It teaches us that nothing is truly permanent, and because of that, we are liberated from the false idea that we must hold on to everything with an iron grip. The Buddhist teachings invite us to let go of our attachments. This does not mean abandoning the things we love or the people who are important to us. Rather, it means not clinging to them in such a way that they become a source of suffering. When we cling too tightly to something or someone, we set ourselves up for inevitable heartache. Impermanence reminds us that everything, even the most beautiful and precious things, will change. And when we accept that reality, we can avoid the pain that comes with resistance to change. Take, for example, our relationships. The people we love are, like us all, subject to the laws of impermanence. They change. They grow. They sometimes move away or leave our lives entirely. When we resist this natural ebb and flow, we can find ourselves lost in grief and regret. But when we learn to embrace impermanence, we begin to appreciate the present moment more fully. We see our loved ones for who they truly are in that moment, without the fear of losing them clouding our perception. We savor the time we have with them, knowing that it is fleeting, but beautiful nonetheless. The same applies to our possessions. How many of us have attached a sense of identity to the things we own? Our homes, our cars, our clothes. These things give us a sense of pride and security. But all of these are subject to the law of impermanence. They will wear out, break, or be replaced by something else. When we let go of the desire to possess these things indefinitely, we free ourselves from the anxiety of losing them. We learn to appreciate them for what they are, temporary gifts in our lives, meant to be enjoyed in the present moment, but not held on to desperately. Even our bodies, the vessel through which we experience life, are not immune to the effects of impermanence. As we age, our bodies change. We may experience illness, injury, or loss of strength. These changes can be difficult to accept, especially in a culture that emphasizes youth and beauty. But Buddhism teaches us to look beyond the physical body to the essence of who we are. Our true nature, according to the Buddha, is not bound by the body. The body is simply a temporary form, a vehicle for our consciousness to experience this world. Understanding this truth allows us to embrace the changes that come with aging and illness with grace, rather than fear. When we stop trying to control the flow of life, when we stop clinging to the past, fearing the future, or fighting the present moment, we open ourselves to the possibility of peace. True peace comes not from controlling or holding on to things, but from letting go. It is in this surrender that we find true freedom. When we let go of our attachment to the impermanent, we discover a deeper sense of stability that comes from within. We realize that no matter what happens to the things around us, we have the ability to remain calm, centered, and peaceful. The Buddha's teaching on impermanence invites us to reflect deeply on our relationship with loss, attachment, and suffering. We live in a world that constantly reinforces the idea that we must hold on to things in order to find happiness. We are taught that if we just accumulate more possessions, have more success, or form more relationships, we will find fulfillment. But the truth is that this pursuit only leads to suffering. The more we cling to things, the more we set ourselves up for heartache when they inevitably change or slip away. Embracing impermanence is not about resigning ourselves to a life of passivity or indifference. It is about recognizing that life is a dynamic flow, a series of moments that are constantly unfolding. The beauty of life is not found in trying to hold on to it, but in experiencing each moment fully, knowing that it will pass. In this way, we are able to appreciate life more deeply. We begin to see that life's true essence is not in its permanence, but in its impermanence. Let us reflect on how this understanding of impermanence can transform our lives. The next time we face loss, we can remind ourselves that change is not a threat, but an opportunity for growth. The next time we feel attachment to something or someone, we can remember that nothing lasts forever, and that this truth can help us live more freely and with greater peace. As we move through life, let us embrace the ebb and flow of existence with open hearts, knowing that by accepting impermanence, we can find the freedom we have been seeking all along. In the end, it is this acceptance of impermanence that leads us to liberation. By letting go of the need to control, we allow ourselves to be fully present in each moment. And it is in this present moment, free from the weight of attachment and fear of loss, that we discover the true nature of peace, wisdom, and ultimately enlightenment. In the intricate dance of life, we often find ourselves swept between moments of joy and sorrow. These two emotions, though seemingly opposites, are not distinct forces pulling us in different directions. In fact, they are intimately connected, two sides of the same coin. This idea, so deeply embedded in Buddhist philosophy, invites us to look at life not as a linear progression of happiness, followed by sorrow or vice versa, but as a constant ebb and flow where joy and sorrow exist together, shaping our experiences and guiding our spiritual journey. To truly understand this concept, we must look at the teachings of the Buddha, who imparted wisdom about suffering, joy, and the path to enlightenment through the Four Noble Truths. The Buddha did not sugarcoat the nature of existence. He acknowledged that life is inherently filled with suffering. Whether it's the pain of loss, the frustration of unmet desires, or the discomfort of impermanence, suffering is an inevitable part of being human. Yet, in the very same breath, the Buddha also revealed that suffering is not something we need to fear or run from. Instead, it is through embracing suffering that we unlock the door to true liberation and peace. But how does joy fit into this equation? Is it something we can only experience once we transcend suffering? Buddhism offers us a radical reframe. It teaches that joy and sorrow are not isolated from each other, but rather they are connected through our awareness and presence in the moment. Joy often arises not from external conditions, but from our ability to be present, to fully experience the world around us without resistance. In those moments of sorrow, when we feel the sharp sting of loss or the weight of disappointment, if we allow ourselves to sit with these feelings without trying to escape them, we may find a quiet peace waiting beneath the surface. It is a peace that comes not from a denial of our pain, but from accepting it as part of the whole of our experience. When we look at the Four Noble Truths through this lens, we begin to see that the path to enlightenment is not about avoiding pain or seeking endless pleasure. It's about cultivating the wisdom to understand the nature of suffering and the compassion to deal with it skillfully. We often think of happiness as something we must seek, an elusive destination that will come only after we have conquered all our problems. But Buddhism teaches us that happiness, or true contentment, is not a destination. It is a way of being. It is not found outside of us, but arises from within, from how we respond to life's inevitable challenges. When we shift our perspective to see joy and sorrow as intertwined, we begin to notice that happiness is not an end goal, but a practice. It's in the way we approach our daily lives, in how we meet the inevitable challenges and setbacks that come our way. Happiness is found in the act of living authentically, of moving through life with open-heartedness and awareness. It's in the small moments, when we sit quietly with our grief, when we share a smile with a stranger, when we let go of the need for things to be perfect. By embracing both joy and sorrow, we free ourselves from the pressure of needing to always be happy or to avoid pain. Instead, we cultivate a deeper sense of peace that comes from accepting life as it is, flawed, imperfect, and full of both beauty and heartache. The teachings of the Buddha ask us to look deeply at our lives and see how joy and sorrow, when viewed through the lens of wisdom and compassion, can lead us to a place of balance and equanimity. This doesn't mean we stop feeling sorrow or that we can avoid suffering altogether. Rather, it means we stop running from our emotions, stop trying to change what is. We learn to be present with both the highs and lows, knowing that both are part of our human experience. Through this acceptance, we transcend the need for things to be different, and in doing so, we find true happiness in the present moment. In our modern world, where we are often bombarded with images of perfect lives, it's easy to forget that joy and sorrow are not opposites to be avoided, but partners in our journey. We live in a society that values happiness above all else, that tells us to constantly chase after what's good and to push away what's painful. But Buddhism offers a counter-narrative, a reminder that both joy and sorrow have their rightful place. They are not in conflict with each other. They coexist, enriching the tapestry of our lives. As we dive deeper into this understanding, we begin to see that true spiritual practice doesn't lie in avoiding pain or seeking pleasure, but in finding peace within the natural rhythms of life. It's in accepting that joy and sorrow are part of the same whole, that our suffering is not something to be fixed, but something to be understood. When we approach life with this mindset, we free ourselves from the shackles of constant striving and begin to experience a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment. In embracing both joy and sorrow, we learn to live more compassionately. We stop judging ourselves and others for our pain and instead offer kindness and understanding. We stop clinging to happiness as the only acceptable state and begin to see the beauty in the full range of human emotions. This doesn't mean we stop striving for well-being or that we don't seek to alleviate suffering in our own lives or in the lives of others. Rather, it means we stop seeing suffering as something to be avoided at all costs and begin to understand it as an integral part of the human experience. In this way, we can cultivate a life that is not just about the pursuit of happiness, but about the deep, transformative power of being present to all of life, joy and sorrow alike. Through Buddhist practice, we can come to understand that by accepting both joy and sorrow, we are not diminishing our experience, but expanding it. We are learning to embrace the fullness of life, to move through it with grace and wisdom, and to let go of the false notion that we must be happy all the time. The true path to peace lies not in controlling our emotions, but in accepting them, in allowing them to flow through us without judgment or resistance. This acceptance doesn't mean passivity. It means engaging fully with life, experiencing it all, and finding peace in the midst of both joy and sorrow. As we continue on our spiritual path, let's reflect on how we can embrace both joy and sorrow in our lives. Let's think about how we can move through our challenges with compassion and mindfulness, knowing that each moment, whether joyful or painful, is an opportunity for growth and transformation. By seeing the interconnectedness of joy and sorrow, we can live more authentically and with greater peace, understanding that both are part of the beautiful, imperfect journey that is our life. So let us embrace the fullness of our experience, not seeking to escape pain or to hold on to pleasure, but to live fully in the present moment with awareness and compassion. By doing so, we can transcend the dualities of joy and sorrow and find the deep peace that lies beyond both. The path of mindfulness lies at the very core of Buddhist practice. It's a practice that transcends the simple act of sitting in meditation for a few minutes each day. True mindfulness is about living with full awareness at every moment, in everything we do. It calls us to be present with every breath, every movement, every interaction, and every thought. To live with mindfulness means to embrace the present moment with a heart that is open and a mind that is awake. This is not just about focusing for a few minutes during meditation, but about engaging with life as it unfolds, fully attuned to the richness of each moment. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to see the world as it truly is, without the distortions caused by our attachments, desires, and judgments. So often, our perceptions are clouded by the weight of our expectations, our past experiences, and the stories we tell ourselves about how things should be. We carry these layers with us, and they shape how we see and interact with the world. Mindfulness asks us to strip away these layers and approach each moment with fresh eyes. It invites us to witness life as it is, in its raw beauty and raw imperfections, without trying to control or manipulate it. However, mindfulness is not about detachment or withdrawing from life. On the contrary, it invites us to become more fully engaged with life. It asks us to open our hearts and minds so that we can truly experience the world in all its glory, its beauty, its pain, its joy, and its suffering. We learn to feel more deeply, to be present with the people around us, to listen to the sounds of nature, and to embrace our emotions, no matter how difficult they may be. Mindfulness teaches us to be present with the fullness of our experiences, even the painful ones, and to understand that both joy and sorrow are part of the same unfolding journey of life. The Buddhist teachings on mindfulness go beyond our own individual experience. They also extend to our interactions with others. Mindfulness calls us to be aware of the impact our words and actions have on those around us. It teaches us to approach others with kindness, compassion, and patience. In a world that often feels hurried and disconnected, mindfulness offers a way to slow down and truly see the people in our lives. It encourages us to practice loving kindness in every moment, to be present with those we love, and to show up with full awareness in our relationships. By cultivating mindfulness, we are not only transforming our inner world, but we are also transforming our relationships with others. We begin to listen more deeply, to respond with more care, and to understand others with greater empathy. Mindfulness helps us move beyond the surface level of interactions and connect with others on a deeper, more meaningful level. When we are truly present with someone, we are offering them our full attention, our full compassion, and our full presence. Furthermore, mindfulness is not confined to moments of stillness or quiet reflection. It extends into every aspect of our daily lives, from the mundane to the extraordinary. Whether we are eating a meal, washing dishes, walking to work, or having a conversation, mindfulness asks us to be fully present with what we are doing without distraction or mindlessness. Even the smallest actions become opportunities to practice mindfulness and bring us back to the present moment. Well, living with mindfulness doesn't mean that we will never face challenges or difficulties. On the contrary, mindfulness equips us to face the inevitable ups and downs of life with greater clarity, acceptance, and wisdom. When we are mindful, we are less likely to react impulsively to difficult situations. Instead, we can pause, take a breath, and respond from a place of calm and awareness. This allows us to approach challenges with more balance and perspective, and it enables us to make decisions that are aligned with our deeper values. Mindfulness also teaches us to cultivate a sense of gratitude. When we are mindful, we become more aware of the beauty and blessings that are all around us, even in the simplest moments. We begin to appreciate the small things, like the warmth of the sun on our skin, the sound of birdsong in the morning, or the taste of a delicious meal. Mindfulness reminds us that there is beauty in every moment, and it encourages us to live with an open heart that is ready to receive life's gifts. As we continue to walk the path of mindfulness, we may find that it brings us a deeper sense of inner peace. By living with greater awareness, we are less likely to be swept away by the turbulence of our emotions or the chaos of the world around us. Instead, we can cultivate a calm and centered mind that remains steady, no matter what life throws our way. This inner peace doesn't come from avoiding difficulties or seeking to escape pain, but from learning to accept and embrace life as it is, with all of its challenges and blessings. Ultimately, mindfulness is a practice of awakening. It is a way of bringing ourselves back to the present moment and reconnecting with the truth of our own existence. Through mindfulness, we begin to see beyond the illusions and distractions that often cloud our perception, and we awaken to the deep wisdom and peace that reside within us. As we walk the path of mindfulness, we are not only transforming ourselves, but we are also contributing to the healing and transformation of the world around us. Let us reflect on how living with mindfulness can bring peace not only to ourselves, but also to those we encounter. As we cultivate mindfulness in our lives, often we are reminded that it is not a destination, but a journey, a continuous practice that unfolds moment by moment. Each step we take, each breath we take, brings us closer to the truth of who we are and the deeper connection we seek with the world around us. Mindfulness is not just a way to live. It is the way to live fully, with presence, with compassion, and with awareness. Let us embrace this path and allow it to transform us and the world in which we live.